Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau, and I wanted to just talk to you for a few minutes because every now and then I get this sense that there's a need for clarity. And one of the things I want to talk about today is the power of clarity. There's so much information. I'm sitting at the Oak Conference right now, and we have all these presentations, and there's brilliant people, everything from Islam to the debt factor in the world and the $50 trillion worth of cumulative wealth. And I'm finding myself just a bit overwhelmed because there's so much information. So let me show you what it's like. You feel like that every now and then? It's a little bit of overwhelm. Oh, look, a board. A board is right here. Let's use this. It's great when I'm having a conversation and there's a whiteboard right behind me. This is kind of what it feels like. I'm gonna draw what I'm trying to get this direction for how I'm supposed to be marshaling my energy. And I got this, and then we got prayer marches going on, and there's warfare going on, and then there's elections happening. I'll even dent this thing out a little bit. And what I feel like is I've got all these competing inputs into my circuitry because everything from revival focus to kingdom, but then the economic situation, and then I'm getting my head wrapped around Islam and the threat of Islam. You ever feel like that? And this is to a great degree. This is the church. I mean, look at us. We're like a Chinese fire drill, and then the overwhelming thing is you're looking at the election cycle. Let's face it. If you're a conservative and you're seeing liberal, same-sex marriage is up there, and you got this strange, Supreme Court deal going on, and then the mosque in New York. What's up with that? The mosque in New York. It's like everywhere we are, and here we are bumping into each other and calling each other. Now, you know what I long for? Here's what I long for. Whoa, look at this. This is what I'm looking for, baby. Woo! This is called the as one scenario. That's why I do as one. Boom. You see, we got all these voices, and we got a lot of leaders. They're leading this way, they're leading that way, they're bumping into each other. This is what I'm looking for, a congruent alignment. Now, here's the reality. See, here's the problem we got, since you asked the question. My friend Mark Nuttall, one of the smartest guys I know, puts it this way. He says, basically, 10% of the population is just, is adolescent, young, baby, or non-compass. They're mentally, they're not able to function. So we're going to drop 10% of the population off. They're not a factor right now. But the remaining 90%, look at this. 30% are going to the left. That's just the way it is. This 30% of the population is kind of leftward leaning. And then, of course, we have 30%, which is more inclined to the right. Like the proverb says, the heart of the wise inclineth to the right, and the heart of the fool to the left. But not that that's a political commentary. I'm not quite sure what that verse means. But what we have here is, look at this. You got one group right here. This is it. This is 30% in the middle. Every election we have, every issue we've got is determined by this group right here. We're going that way. This group's going this way. Somebody in the middle, they don't know where they're going. Look, this is what confusion gets over this. What we need to do is have a message for the middle. I want to talk to you about this because there's strategies for changing culture. If you've ever heard me, you've heard me. I've kind of popularized the Seven Mountain Message. And the Seven Mountain Message is a message with great relevance to me because it explains how culture is formed. I don't think 5% of the people I've talked to really understand what I'm talking about when I talk about the Seven Mountains. If we did, this scenario here would be a little bit easier because this scenario would impact this, would impact this, would impact this. First of all, we need to put a firewall over here because these people are kind of crazy. Now, I know this might be edited for purpose of the Oak Initiative. There are people over here that are a little wacky. I'm just telling you how it is. These guys here that are on the extreme, they are, it's almost like the most eccentric belief systems in the world exist over here. There's everything from the man-boy associations. You know what that would be? That would be men that want to have the right to have sex with children or and that kind of stuff. To people that are, there literally are budgets that are here funded with multiple billions of dollars in order to block people over here that are just God-fearing, praying, Ten Commandments. You think about it, the average Christian, who could have a problem with the Ten Commandments? Which commandment do you want to get rid of? You want to get rid of the thou shalt not steal? I'm going to take your car and your house if you're over it. You understand? The Ten Commandments, who would have a problem with it? It has to be a spiritual antagonism from the extreme over here. And sometimes we got our own weird antagonisms that are affecting over here. What I'm trying to say is a strategy as one that goes to hit the middle. Let's talk about that for a second. Clarity is power. When I talk about the 7 mountains, we got the 7 there? When I talk about the 7 mountains, do you understand why it is that 5% of the population, let's talk about this for a second. 3 to 5% of the population, let's say, is same-sex marriage oriented. Same-sex marriage people there. What is it that we are doing wrong? Those of us that represent, I'm going to go over here. This is 3 to 5%, and I'm going to put that against the 35% over here. That would be Christians and Protestants and Jews and even Mormons. And I'm talking about now we're up to 70% of the population, if you want to add in everybody who's outside of just God-fearing evangelical people. This group here, 30 to 70%, do not want to see same-sex marriage as an issue. I'm just talking about that as an issue. I'm not obsessed about that, but it's on my mind because we're at the Oak Conference. We're talking about these things. 3 to 5%. How is it that a minority, a remnant, mind you, well, look at this, a remnant has been able to so aggressively advance their agenda that it's kind of like constantly being pushed, when the majority of people aren't even for it? I'll tell you how come. Start with this. In Religion Mountain, where we primarily have the church, we have most pastors, I would say, I'm going to put the blue line here, I'd say that many pastors, they don't even want to mess with this whole same-sex marriage issue. You know why? They're struggling to pay bills. They don't want to offend anybody. They don't want to. So their thinking is we're less offensive if we're not against things. You see, so that's the logic of it. So I'm not against this. I'm for. Jesus is for people. He's not against anyone. So the church really isn't going to engage aggressively in trying to deal with something that's controversial because they can only lose. So they just avoid the subject entirely. Meanwhile, we've got the family mountain over here. I say same-sex marriage, a man and a man, a woman and a woman. And so you got the family thing over here. Education, they're looking to have schools that are going to be teaching curriculum that has, you can be raised by 2 parents that are this, mom, Steve and Adam and, or Betty and Sue. And so they're teaching kids all the time how to get conditioned for the implications of a same-sex family world. And then you got government over here. Obviously, the present administration included on Father's Day. He's talking about fathers. And Father's Day is a great time. If you have 3 fathers or 2 fathers, it's okay. Half a dozen fathers for free. He's constantly endorsing in subtle ways that same agenda. And so you got the president over here backing this thing with a little flag. Then you've got media. Oh my gosh, media just knock you silly because you've got gay and lesbian journalists embedded in all the 9 major media news outlets. You know that? They're actually funded and payrolled to be journalists. So it's like a media watch group. It's like the all-seeing eye of Sauron. You're looking for any little hobbit with a ring coming up who's going to talk about, heterosexual marriage. And then you got the arts community, which is kind of nuts. It's kind of Gaga from Lady Gaga on the way down. But I mean, this is just the artists are brilliant people. They're flamboyant. They're artistic. Probably the church didn't make a space or a place for all the feminine creative energy that is in men. And so we have this problem. We probably have created half the time. If it wasn't for the fact that I pastored for 20 years, I'm kind of schizoid about it. I beat myself up, but I was a pastor, so I understand why we do those things. But arts, we really rejected the artists. And of course, we got business. Who in the right mind wants to alienate all the wealth and the treasury of the minority? These people got money. They get a hold of, I don't know how they do it. They get money to fund what they do. So Disney wants to have a National Gay Day. Do you know there's a certain day at Disney, if you go on the wrong day, a friend of mine, Glenn Henderson, a CEO of a successful company, takes his family to Orlando on Gay Day. This is crazy. He didn't know it. So he's surrounded by men kissing men, women kissing men. He's trying to figure out he's got his children with him. Horrifying things going on all around. It was like going to